Welcome to another episode of Sips and Screams, where twin sister horror movie fanatics sip themed cocktails and discuss our favorites in the genre. Today, we are going back not too far to 2022 to discuss Barbarian. This one is written and directed by Zach Kreger and starring Georgina Campbell, Mr. Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård, and the universally loved, I think, Justin Long. Barbarian is many things. It's a bait and switch. It's an onion peeling back layers. It's ultimately, it's a timeless story of mistrust, women's intuition, and dare I say, a mother's enduring love. It most certainly is not a tourist promotion video for Detroit.
Or Airbnb for that matter.
Not at all. No. But in all honesty, it's truly an excellent modern horror, and we cannot wait to talk all about it. I'm Ashley, and of course, joining me as always is my twin sister, Allie. Allie, what's up? Are you ready for Barbarian?
I can't wait for Barbarian. You know I love this movie. I'm very excited to dig in.
We've been waiting to do this one.
We have. And people have been excited to hear our take on this too. So I can't wait.
I love when we do newer movies. I love the retro, but the newer ones are also just so fun.
Yeah. And this one has a lot of elements, I think, of some of old school horror movies. So I mean,
we love Justin Long. I mean,
who doesn't?
Like every millennial loves Justin Long.
But is that one of the biggest surprises for he's like a horror movie icon now? I think that was one of the biggest surprises. Yes.
So good. Oh my goodness. As always, you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and our handle is at Sips and Screams Pod. You can also email us. Feel free to email us at Gmail, sipsandscreams.podcast@gmail.com. And we are everywhere where you get your podcasts. And if you do listen, I always say this, here's our call to action. We would love if you could give us a rating and or a review. All right, it's Friday night, Allie. What time is it though?
It is about time for killer cocktails.
That's right. And there was one choice. We only had one choice. Actually, there was a few choices.
I think we could have gone a couple of different ways with this. There was the obvious choice, which is what we went with. There was maybe the creative choice we could have gone with.
Which was?
There's a lot of milk in this movie.
There's a lot of milk.
It's milk, and the milk is disturbing for those of you who've watched it. The representation of milk is not necessarily something you want to think a lot about. So we went the other way.
You know, the issue with the milk is that milk-based cocktails are disgusting. The Big Lebowski, the White Russians, they're disgusting.
Okay. I used to drink those. Okay. Well, let me say that I used to, and some very good friends of mine who do watch the podcast.
What?
We used to go bowling and drink White Russians. I'm pretty sure.
What are you talking about?
My friends
where?
Yes.
In Boston?
At a random bowling alley in Boston. That's correct.
We would go there. White Russians at a random bowling alley in Boston. That's correct.
And we drank White Russians. No, they were cold. And you know what, Ash? They were delicious. They were goddamn delicious.
Goodness.
But did I want to do that tonight? No. But there's a time and place. My point is, Ash, there is a time and place for White Russians. I mean, maybe bowling is it.
Did they only time? Did they bowl in the Big Lebowski?
Yes.
So that's why you were paying homage to it.
That's correct, Ash. Yes.
I can't think of a worse place to drink milk-based cocktails than a bowling alley.
You know what? But it was cold. It wasn't warm. You weren't drinking lukewarm milk.
I used to bartend, and every time someone would ask for one, I'm like, I didn't even know what was in it, to be honest.
Have you never had one, though, honestly?
The look I would make at them was just
but you've never had
utter disgust. I've tried one. I do not enjoy them. You get they curdle. I just no.
Okay, anyway. They don't have to curdle. But,
everyone,
let's go bowling.
We're not drinking that. You want to go bowling? Yeah. Okay, fine. We'll go bowling and we'll get White Russians. I feel like if you order it when you're bowling, they're like, okay,
it's acceptable.
The Big Lebowski.
It's definitely acceptable because of the Big Lebowski. Yes.
I just can't imagine sipping on a White Russian while
you'd be surprised. You could do it.
Mediocre sport.
Ash, you could do it. Do we call it a sport?
I mean, yeah, it is Kingpin.
Well, we've gone on a bit of a tangent here to get to the main.
What are we drinking? Dear God.
Okay.
I'm thirsty.
Everyone listening, we did not go with a milk-based drink. We did not.
Clearly.
We went with the obvious choice, which is red wine.
Red wine. That Airbnb gift. We don't have a little, a little bow on it.
It's the free wine that you get as part of the Airbnb.
He was there like all day and did not like open it. He was waiting. He was just waiting to
someone,
open
I guess.
red wine.
I want to know like
alone.
what, yeah, we don't know what kind it was. I wonder how good it was. But speaking of kind of wine, Ash, what kind of red wine are you opening tonight?
So I am very partial to Pinot Noirs as of late. And this is called Cambria. And it's from Santa Maria Valley. So it's a nice California Santa Barbara County.
Paso Robles area. I mean, in just some wineries up there, they've got some great Pinot.
Yeah. And you?
Yeah. Well, mine comes to you from Temecula Valley. I used to live in Orange County, so we would go to Temecula Valley a lot. This is Daffo Winery, and it is a Mistura. It's a blend. It is... you know what? It just says red wine blend. It does not specify.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. I'm going to guess there's like some Zin in there, some Syrah, maybe some Merlot. I don't know. I'll let you know as I pour it.
Well, we're not sharing this bottle. Each their own. They share that bottle over many hours, or long enough for a laundry cycle. I will say.
Okay, it's one bottle of wine between two people, Ash. Yeah, for a lot. It was like an hour and a half laundry cycle.
It took her like 10 minutes to be like
challenge accepted, I guess. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I would have been like chugging that wine. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's pour it.
All right. As always, in a Riddell glass, if you have
always.
them. All right.
The color in mine is just beautiful.
I did not bring a napkin, so that's fun.
Oh, that is fun. I love red wine. Red wine is such a nice, unlike milk. Like, ew. Well, red wine is a nice, sophisticated drink. On a Friday.
One of these times, I'm sorry, one of these episodes, we're going to do White Russians.
Like, I will do it for you, but like, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to enjoy drinking it.
Maybe it'll change your mind. Maybe you will be. Who knows?
Milk? But I don't think so. Okay. Cheers.
Right. Cheers.
Mine's very good.
Oh, mine's lovely. All right.
Mine's very light.
Like it's giving, mine's giving like,
it's
giving guys. It's all right. Listeners. Again, it just says red wine. Red blend. I don't know what it is, but I think it's like a Zin. I think there's like maybe some Pinot in it. Like maybe, I don't know. It's very good.
Yeah. Mine's giving, it's like light. It's giving like jammy, giving like a light jammy.
I don't like jammy, Ash. Not a big jammy fan personally.
But that's what it tastes like.
Get ready, listeners. We each opened our own bottle of red wine. Let's see how far we get through it as we talk about Barbarian.
And I think that like the Airbnb place, they're like giving out a bottle of wine I don't think they got a lot of rentals, to be honest, at that place.
Yeah,
but, like,
I bet
it was like a little like $9 bottle. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? They were like splurging.
But like Trader Joe's, you know what? They've got some good $5 bottles. So
everyone's been telling me about Trader Joe's.
They do.
The wine there. I only ever get white wine from there.
It's fantastic. Red wine selection. Yes.
Really? Okay. I'm going to go next weekend. I'm going to go try it out. It's time for Sips and Synopsis. And as always, Allie, take it away and tell us about the plot of Barbarian. I cannot wait.
I know. I mean, as we've mentioned so far, we're very excited about this one. Going to take a sip and then dig into the synopsis.
Aren't you glad it's not milk? Aren't you glad it's red wine? You must be so happy.
Yeah, I am. I didn't necessarily want to be chugging milk this evening.
Were you going to be chugging the red wine?
well, let's see how the night goes. But no, I'm probably going to sip it in a very sophisticated manner.
Ladies and gentlemen, Allie's going to be chugging out of the bottle by the end of this episode.
Well, let's see.
Straight out the bottle.
Yeah, maybe. Barbarian. As we've already said, this is such a great recent horror movie. This one's, we're going all the way back to 2022 for this one. So back just a few years. This one, as Ash mentions, takes place in Detroit.
Detroit, not Detroit.
We have to say this to our listeners. Ash and I, as Canadians, I guess, like we pronounce it differently. I didn't know that we were pronouncing it wrong until current husband pointed it out. And apparently we are. I say Detroit. I really get that it on there.
Yeah, Detroit.
I don't. Yeah.
Apparently it's Detroit.
Yeah, apparently you don't pronounce the it, but
we have people from Michigan that listen to this podcast.
How do you pronounce
it? Detroit or Detroit? Because like Detroit, it's like that rolls off the tongue easier for me. I don't know.
It does, and I feel like that's how they say it in the movie. But like, are we wrong? Like, correct us, please. Let us know. We'll try to do better, but this is ingrained in us, so it's been difficult. But yeah, going back to 2022. We are introduced to our protagonists in that very first scene. Tess, again, not a lot of characters in this movie. One of the most powerful characters in the movie, of course, is our main protagonist, Tess. So she's arriving. They really set up the tone. It's classic horror in the first act. And again, I will say, I said this in the last 3 episodes, but the way they set up, act 1, act 2, act 3, and this is just brilliant.
Perfection.
So act 1, Tess is arriving to her Airbnb late at night. So not only is it late at night, completely dark out in a sketchy-ish area. To her at that time, she can't really see anything around her. It's also pouring rain. So she gets there. She goes to her Airbnb, which is like, honestly, kind of looks like a cute little house. Got a little porch.
It does. It looks cute.
Yeah. She goes to it. She presses, tries to get that key to the lockbox. She opens the lockbox, but there is no key in there. So she's like, what the hell at that point, right? Calls Airbnb. Is not getting any answer. And then she sees a light come on in the house. So someone's in there. So she rented this place. It's supposed to be hers. Not only is there no key in the lockbox, but someone's actually in there. And who comes out and,
Pennywise.
Mr. Pennywise, recent Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård, aka Keith in this movie. Mm-hmm. So Keith had also rented it. They realized that there's been an issue and they both rented this Airbnb at the same time.
He could not be more creepy though. Like for real. You're like, he's giving off every signal that he is a creep.
And he's convincing her to stay. Like,
come on in.
This one, she's like, obviously there's someone already there. It's late at night. It's raining. She has an interview the next day. And he's like convincing her to like, come on in and like hang out while they figure it out. It is
bad move.
Yeah. Red flags like all around. And definitely, when you're first watching this movie for the first time, you obviously don't know what's going on. And clearly he seems like a very creepy dude.
Yeah. You think that he's like the owner or something trying to lure her in.
You do.
It's
and we
so
learn,
good.
and he even knows that there's a medical convention in town. So it's not likely that she can get a hotel room. Yeah. So he's really seems to be convincing her pretty hard to stay there. Right. All right. So Tess agrees. She goes inside. And Keith is like, he's being a pretty good host at this point. He gets her luggage, but
offers her wine.
Yeah, he does. That's where the wine comes in. But I will say she's adamant. He offers the bedroom to her, but she does not want to sleep in, used sheets. I'm like, fair enough. I agree. So, that's like such a interesting, important, I'd say, plot point of that very first act is that those sheets get washed. Those sheets get washed in that room. While they're being washed and she's getting like ready for bed. Again, Keith really wants to get into that wine, does not want to open it without her present. Because that's creepy. And he may have drugged it or something. So he does wait, and he opens it when she's finished with her shower and she comes out.
His foresight of being like, I know this is creepy. I'm not going to do this is really interesting. It's like, is he a good guy? You're kind of like, thinking at that point, maybe he is.
Yeah. It's like he's been in this situation before. He seems to understand that she's creeped out by this. And like, of course she would be, but Tess is smart. She like takes pictures of his driver's license, but she's agreed. So she's going to stay in this Airbnb with him. He's going to sleep on the couch. She's going to sleep in the room. While those sheets are getting cleaned, they share that bottle of wine together and get to know each other a little bit.
They enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They
half bottle each.
Yeah. A couple, 2.5 glasses each, maybe.
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah. And then the sheets are ready.
Which is interesting because she has a job interview the next day.
Yeah, but she's a job interview.
2.5. What time of night is this? Like 2 a.m., 1 a.m.?
I think it's like 3 a.m. It's like 2 or 3 a.m.
And she has 2.5 glasses of red wine.
That's correct, Ash.
Before her. Yeah.
Okay. We don't know what time the interview was in the morning because it never shows the clock, but
no. Well, she doesn't set an alarm, I don't think.
No. It's very
problematic. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I'm looking for it.
She's there for a documentary filmmaker position, right? Or she's interviewing with a documentary filmmaker. We learn that Keith is there as part of a band, I believe it is, right? And so they're scouting locations. But yeah, so, Tess eventually does go to bed. I think this is, great scene, right? And again, a very good scene in that first horror movie, that first act of the movie. She's sleeping. She shuts the door. Keith's out on the couch. Clearly they show the door is shut. She wakes up in the middle of the night and that door's open.
Yeah.
So she wakes up, the door's open. She knew it was shut. Like, obviously you would freak out. She immediately goes out, like wakes Keith up and like alarms him very much, right? It's like, did you open the door? He did not. But then she just goes back to sleep and wakes up the next morning, I guess, past her alarm or no alarm, realizes she's running late and goes off to her interview. Keith's already gone for the day. But we do learn, he
leaves her a little love note though. Like, I'll be back. Like, did they really like bond that much at 3 a.m.?
I guess. I mean,
they're besties at this point.
3 a.m. drinking some wine on the couch. I mean, she shared red wine with her ex-boyfriend. Yeah.
Well, red wine can do it.
If anything's going to bond you, how about a bottle of red wine that's provided for free at your Airbnb?
Me and current husband shared a bottle of red wine. It was one of our first dates. So I get it.
I love that. Yeah.
It really loosens your inhibitions. I don't know. But
I think that was Keith's plan.
It definitely allows you to share some personal details.
Red wine puts you in a zone that probably other alcohol doesn't. Current husband and I also, I'd say many bottles of red. On first date, no. I don't think it was red wine on the first date, but like since we've been together, many bottles of red wine.
Mine was like a bottle of Chianti. I'm like, I have a bottle of Chianti.
I love that that's what you guys drink, because I feel like Chianti. Your current husband does not drink a lot of red wine. He does not,
but at the beginning, he did.
All the stops. Pulling out all the stops.
All the stops.
Like Keith did.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Keith was hoping that he could be current husband to Tess someday.
Agree.
Tess goes to her interview. It seems to go well. It's interesting at the interview, she mentions that she's staying at an Airbnb on, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but Barbary Street in Detroit, in like a sketchy part of town.
Is that a real Barbary? Because like Barbarian?
So this is my question, actually. Is it called Barbarian because of the street, or is it called Barbarian because like there's just some really like crazy people in this movie?
Yeah, I don't think it's called it because of the street. But when I was rewatching it, I was like taken aback. I'm like, wait, what?
So was I. No, so was I. I know. But yeah, so, she's warned, right, that this is like a sketchy place. So she's done with her interview. She goes back. I guess she's got one more night at this Airbnb, apparently.
Why do you go back though? Like she goes, I don't know. I'm like, just
she
go
drives back, and now she's driving back though. And like seeing it in the light of day, it's clearly incredibly deserted. This is the only house on that street. And not only that, but she parks and she's going in and like, man's chasing her. Like, it's just, it's like creepy behavior that's happening. She goes in this house. Keith isn't home yet, right? She's taken the key in. And so I believe she realizes that there's no toilet paper or paper towel.
That's right.
And she goes down and
it's a toilet paper issue.
It's a toilet paper issue. So she goes down to
which is an issue with every Airbnb. Like just have more toilet paper.
There's never enough. Honestly, but at least they had some in the basement. But again, I mean, you don't want to go down there.
But how do you know that?
Yeah, it's so true. But she sees it down there, right? So she goes down into the basement. She doesn't bring her phone.
Rookie move.
Doesn't bring the key. She goes down there and to get that toilet paper, and that basement door just like locks behind her.
Yeah.
So she's down there now. She can't get out. She does have the key. Keith can't get in.
Yeah.
Because when he comes back now, there's going to be no way inside the house because it's locked. So Tess is locked in this basement. She discovers that it's not just the basement, but there's this like secret door. She opens it. She kind of MacGyvers it a bit, and she sets up this mirror so there's light in it. She realizes that she is smart.
Yeah.
That there's more to this basement than just that regular run-of-the-mill basement. There's this dark hallway. She goes down this secret, weird dark hallway and finds a room with she walks down. There is a room with a light on it. And in this room is a bed. is a bed with it's just like a dirty mattress with like an old school bed frame.
Urine stained, just
blood stains. I don't know.
Blood,
and a video camera. And a video camera. Like, I'm sorry, like, immediately if you see that, like obviously something's wrong.
How are they not freaking out over the video camera? I'm like,
you're like video camera.
Cool. Like, I know what. Also, like check for the tape. Maybe I don't know. It's just so weird.
Yeah, they should have checked for the tape.
Like they were just kind of like surveying the room, but not like fixating on the video camera. I'm like, something horrible happened here. Like this is crazy.
Maybe it's still happening here. Yeah. So she sees that. She gets out of there. She realizes that Keith is now home. So luckily there are windows in that basement. So she's able to get his attention, get him the key. And then he comes in. So now they're in the house together, and she tells him in a very smart way that like they need to get out of there. But like Keith is like not believing her that there's like creepy stuff happening in that basement. And he wants to go check it out for himself. So he goes on down there. We don't hear from him for a while. He goes down. She could have left at that point. He goes down. Like, where are you going?
Just leave.
Right? Just leave at that point. She goes down looking for him in the crazy hallway. Is calling for him. She kind of hears from him. And then all of a sudden he comes up on her and he says he's been bit by something. And then we see this creepy ass character that just, bashes Keith's head just like against the wall many times. Clearly.
Right. So violent.
Unaliving him.
He meets his what?
Yeah. Keith meets his demise by a creature in those tunnels at the end of Act 1.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Keith. Cut to one of the most brilliant, I'd say. And I'll preface this. When I first watched this movie, I didn't know the cast. So you're watching it. And then this all happens. Keith's head just gets bashed in.
Yeah.
Clearly dead. It cuts immediately to Justin Long driving down the Pacific Coast Highway in Southern California in a convertible, just like singing a long song. Brilliant. It's so good. And if you didn't know the cast and you didn't necessarily follow a lot of that before watching it, you're like, what is going on? Like, this is amazing. So AJ, not a great guy. Starts out him driving down the PCH, Pacific Coast Highway in California in his convertible, getting called by his managers. And a news story is going to come out about some bad things that he did. So, he's being accused of sexual assault with one of his colleagues on this pilot that he worked on.
Yeah.
And they really set the tone at the very beginning of this, that AJ is not a good guy.
No. And he's not owning up to anything either.
No, he's not owning up to anything. But we learn, you're like wondering when this is happening. You're like, what is going on? But you learn that he's actually the owner of this Airbnb in Detroit, this 476 Barbarian Street. So, his impending legal issues with the sexual assault are going to cost him some money. So he goes back to Detroit and he's going to basically try to sell these Airbnbs. Yeah. So it's been at this point, it's been a couple of weeks since Tess and Keith stay there. So he goes to his Airbnb and he goes in, he goes in, right? And there's like luggage there. And he's like, wait, someone's staying here?
How is he not? Like, well, he calls the like administrative manager people and he's like, what the hell? And they're like, someone's here. And they're like, no one's here. They haven't had a booking in months. He's like, what? There's like someone's toiletry bag in the bathroom.
It's like, there's like a laptop. It's like, and then they're like, we only clean it before the next person comes in. It's so great. It's so great. Good. But he goes through like Tessa's computer.
Wait, he throws that laptop. Like,
I know. He throws,
he's like trying to like find her password. He just chucks the laptop very like willy-nilly in the air and it lands on like a dresser. I'm like, what?
I know.
The fact that didn't break is like a miracle.
But it's interesting, right? Because it's showing like he just doesn't care about other people at all.
I just think Justin Long has come a long way since Crossroads. You know what I mean? Like he was the
Jeepers Creepers also. Again, the fact that you don't remember he was like iconic in Jeepers Creepers. Come on.
He is like a leading man. Like he's so good. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Jeepers Creepers as much as you do. I remember Crossroads.
Well, we will cover it. We'll cover Jeepers Creepers. Great horror movie. We'll cover it on the podcast.
Okay. I need some more Justin Long, so I'm down. Let's do it. Yes.
We all do. He's great.
Yeah, he's so good.
But he goes out the one night, like with his like old like high school buddy.
He's like, I'm back in town.
And these scenes are like just horrific, right? Like just horrible behavior. He's effectively admitting that he did assault this woman. Mm-hmm. But he's still adamant about selling this Airbnb. So he realizes he goes down to the basement. He also discovers these tunnels. Yeah. And instead of being freaked out by this, AJ, Justin Long's character, is actually super excited. He's like, yes, like more square footage that I can list on my property.
He Googles it. He's like, can you list like underground tunnels and square footage for your house?
Ash, he also sees
apparently you can
the bloody mattress. No,
he's
no
like,
reaction.
He's like, I can rent
That's
this
just
out.
Run of the mill for him.
Yeah, I can rent out this room. It's an Airbnb, a sub Airbnb.
It's like an attraction. Yeah, that you could list that like on your Airbnb. It's like we've got like a subterranean like
for when you want to be really, really removed from society. You can come down here. Yeah. I got a mattress. You're going to be good.
And there's a video camera. May or may not be a tape inside of it. But you know what? Great. So he goes through it. He's measuring and he brings out like a knife, a flashlight. He's going through. And And he has his measuring tape, which just, I mean, that measuring tape stays put as he's measuring the square footage of these tunnels. And the measuring tape gets pulled.
Yeah.
Right.
But okay.
Someone else is down there.
Someone else is down there, but like, did you notice that
someone else is down there?
The knife that he chooses is like a pear knife. I'm like, that's like cutting an apple. Like what is he going to do with this little knife? Like, I don't
think he's very intelligent. Like, I think he's like an asshole.
He's an idiot,
I don't think AJ's like by any means intelligent. Yeah. No. I think that was a choice.
And somehow that's endearing for a man, but not a woman. Not at all.
So AJ realizes that he's not alone down there, right? Someone's taking the measuring tape, and then he just sees this figure. Well, we'll call her Mother at this point because we know that's what she is. This creature is running towards him, and he's running away, and then he just falls
at
into
a rapid pace.
Yeah, rapid pace. Oh yeah, she moves. Mother moves. And he falls into a pit, but he's not alone down there. We are reintroduced to Tess. Tess has been alive these last few weeks. AJ's now down there with her, and they're both in this pit together. So now, before we get to the main third act, we go back in time a little bit in the movie, and you don't really know what's going on. You're like,
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So we're now in like the 80s. Is it? It's the 80s, 90s. We've gone back
based
a few
on
years.
Like the cars and like 80s, the overall vibe. I think it was the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the 80s. And there's it's the same house. So we've got the same Barbary Street house. But
it's giving kidnapping vibes. It's giving like from the milk very boxes. Beginning. Yeah.
It's giving. We see a man, middle-aged man, come out of that house. His name is Frank. We learn later. He's going to get some supplies. He's getting baby stuff at like the local store, and like they're just like helping him out. You don't really know why. And then you clearly see he's like stalking young women.
His name is Frank, and he runs into his neighbor. It's like, hey, Frank, but this guy has like a Michael Myers like outfit on. This is Carlos on it.
It does say Carlos.
He's like, hey, Frank. And he's like, Carlos, like, hey, it's very comedic.
Yeah, he's like posing as like
what's up?
Oh, like I didn't even catch that. Honestly, it's absolutely like a Michael Myers coverall. Yeah, it's Michael Myers coveralls. But yeah, so you see that there's the house is past not so great. There was a man that lived there who was clearly abducting women. So that's just a little flavor. They show you that. And then we cut to, current day and the rest of the third act. And so AJ's down in this pit with Tess. So Tess has managed to survive. And she's telling him, right. She's like, don't, because he's screaming, he's freaking out. And she's the calm one. And she's telling him not to freak out because she will upset, they'll upset Mother. The creature.
She's learned how to deal.
She has, you know what?
To placate Mother, if you will.
She has. She survived a couple of weeks down there. At this point, Mother lowers a baby bottle into the pit.
A hairy baby bottle.
Yeah, and not only is it a bottle, it's a very large bottle for a baby. There are just hairs on it. And she really just wants to feed AJ this bottle. Like he's like her baby, and he's just like freaking out. He's not remaining calm as Tess has advised at all. He gets dragged out of that pit and she just hears him, getting dragged away. And I'll preface this, these next few scenes of this movie, I mean, it's disturbing. It's disturbing on a lot of different levels.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's not the easiest to watch.
No.
But yeah, AJ doesn't remain calm. AJ gets dragged away to the room, the room that we've seen a few times now, where it's
the
like
mothering room. What do we call that?
Is this the room with the mattress? Is it the same room, Ash? Oh, we forgot to mention
it's a room that is showing like mothering videos.
Yeah,
it's like
that Frank bought.
It shows that
Frank bought those back in the 80s.
Okay, but it's like basically showing them how to like breastfeed their babies.
That's correct. That's correct, Ash.
And it's just very like disturbing, very strange. But that's all she's seen, I guess. It's very odd.
Her world. Her world is any of these people that come in. They're her babies, and she wants to
breastfeed them.
You be a breast. Exactly. So,
there's some of the science that doesn't like quite match up.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't. But it sure as hell makes for disturbing scenes though. Like I'll give it that.
Sure.
So, while AJ's being dragged away, Tess takes that as her opportunity to escape this pit. And again, Tess is smart cookie. You know, she's smart.
Now she's smart.
Well,
she was not smart at the beginning.
All right. Before she was not ignoring. You know what? She had the intuition. She just wasn't listening to it.
She's trying to save Pennywise in the basement. She didn't have to do that. You could have just left Tess.
She should have left
Brightmoor and went to the airport.
Yeah, that's right. But so Tess gets out of that pit, and she's the reason why we're able to see what's happening in the room with AJ and the mother. And that mother is just...
And what's happening, y'all? Describe it for our listeners.
I love having to describe for our listeners. So there's a room with a breastfeeding video on, and this mother is trying to breastfeed AJ. That's what's happening, Ash. The bottle didn't work, so she's trying to do it from the source, if you will.
But again, like, it's not like she's birthed these babies. She wouldn't. Okay, this is my one bone to pick. She wouldn't have like breast milk.
No, I don't think it's about having breast milk. I think it's about the act of
I'm just saying. Okay.
I don't think mutant mother had breast milk.
I don't know if we need to like debate it, but like it was disturbing on a few levels. Of
course, on a lot.
That scene is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. But you know what? That's disturbing. Tess does take this as her opportunity to escape. She runs the hell out of those tunnels. She gets back into that basement and is trying to escape. You know, the door's been shut at this point. Yeah. But she's trying to escape through that window, and she's able to get out. And who saves her but the same man who chased her and was trying to warn her not to go into that house at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's saved by
the
this
homeless
guy,
man.
He's unhoused.
The unhoused gentleman.
And he tells her that this mother creature comes out at night, right? And so like she shouldn't be in there. She should definitely not be around there at nighttime. So Tess is just like trying to walk out of there. I don't know why does she? Oh, she doesn't have her car keys. I'm like, why did she get in her car? But her car keys are inside. She doesn't have those.
Why and so she just like hotwire it. Like I feel like she could have done more.
You think she would have known how to hotwire? I
don't know.
Hotwire a car.
Okay, well, maybe she doesn't know how, but like maybe that guy did. She could have asked for help.
She could have asked. Yeah, she could have asked him. But in any case, she makes it to a gas station. Asks for a phone. There's some cops there. She tells them about it. She takes the cops to the house. And again, they just like don't believe her. So I think, at this point, she definitely has some distrust for police.
They think she's like a drug addict or something.
They do, yeah.
She's very like disheveled, and
she had been she's been like held captive for weeks, and they certainly don't believe her.
No,
but Tess, she made some mistakes. She made a few mistakes. Tess decides to go back because she wants to save AJ. She can't just leave him. She could have just been the hell out of there, but she goes back. She tries to bring the cops. They're not helping, so she goes it alone to save AJ. So Tess is back in the house. She's now trying to save AJ. She doesn't even know the guy. But meanwhile, AJ has managed to escape. I guess because of Tess coming back in the house, the mother's distracted. And so AJ's able to escape. And he just goes like further and further into these tunnels. And you realize that it's not just those tunnels with the cages, but like more and more happens. Like he keeps going. He finds an onion.
It's an onion.
Yeah, it is. You're peeling away that onion. He finds an apartment. And there's this really old man who's living in it. We learned that, of course, that's Frank in his old age. And he's there and he's going to save Frank. He's like, don't worry, like help is going to be on the way. But then he finds all the VHS tapes and, realizes that Frank has been the one who's been like abusing these women. I guess he just like comes to that realization. So, AJ manages to escape. Frank pulls a gun on him, tries to shoot him. It doesn't kill him. But AJ at this point is then leaving those tunnels. Tess has at this point, she does get her keys to her car and she drives into that house, seemingly killing mother at that point. Yeah. And she thinks she has, and she goes back running down the hallway, those tunnels in the basement. And that scene, she's running down the tunnels in the basement. She's trying to save AJ and she just gets shot by AJ. So AJ has the gun now and he just like shoots her. So she just gets shot by AJ in those tunnels and she was coming to save him. Mm-hmm. And so she, he helps her out, I guess. And he's like, we're going to go like he's going to try to save her. They go out, they realize that mother is not dead.
She's gone.
And she lets them know that. So, Tess at this point thinks of the unhoused gentleman, and they go to the water tower.
So good. I cannot.
I know, to seek refuge from him. And so they get in there and he takes them in and he's like, yeah, like she's never
coming in here.
At this time it's night. She's like, she's never come in here. And as they're having the discussion, she gets in there and she kills him. And she kills him.
That is
severely.
The best scene I've ever seen. He's like, no, she's never coming in here. And mother just like barrels through, rips his arm off and then beats him with it. It's like the best kill. That might be one of the best horror movie kills I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's the beating him with his own arm.
Yeah, his
own arm
from the socket. It's great.
So they're by that water tower. AJ and Tess get out of there. She is strong. Yeah, not only is she's a creature, she's a mutant, like via like incest, right? Yeah. Frank has been like abusing all these women, and then
she's
having
a copy of a copy
with these women. Yeah, she's like multiplicity on like steroids. Like it is.
But the multiplicity.
Okay, it's Monstro. Okay, it's Monstro Elizasu, like the early version.
Oh,
yes. Yeah, yes. You know what? I should have said that. Yeah, it is Monstro Elizasu Part 0.
That's better. That's so good.
It's better.
You're right.
But yeah, so Tess and AJ, they are trying to escape Mother, and they're climbing up this water tower. And you know what? AJ's like every man for himself. He gets up there. Tess is like, she's been shot. So she's trying to run up there with a bullet wound.
I can't.
They get up there. Mother's like coming up on them. And when they're at the top, AJ does what, a guy like AJ does.
Asshole will do. Yeah.
Yeah. He saves himself and he throws Tess off of that water tower.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
But I need to pause here because, and I know you feel me. At this point, okay, leading up to this point, Mother is the villain, right?
She's the villain.
Mother's the monster. Mother's the bad one, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
When AJ,
are you gonna cry?
Oh my God.
Are you like tearing
Let me
up?
describe it. Let me describe it to our listeners.
She's a flying squirrel.
Okay. AJ throws Tess off of that water tower to distract Mother.
Yeah.
Mother sees Tess, her baby, getting thrown off that water tower. And she just jumps off of that water tower too to protect her baby.
Yeah. Like a flying squirrel. Like full on.
Like a flying squirrel. But she cradles Tess and she's the one that lands on her back. And so now Tess falls and has like something blocking her fall. And it is Mother herself, right?
Yeah.
So AJ gets back down. He thinks that Mother is dead. Tess miraculously has survived because Mother protected her baby. Mm-hmm. And so, but you know what? As all movies, there's always that last scare in these horror movies. Mother is not dead. Mother wakes up. Yeah. And I mean, another like amazing kill in this movie, just like squeezes the eyeballs like out of AJ's head, like just like uses her thumbs to squeeze, to push into those eye sockets and really just squeeze his head.
Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing kill. AJ dies. And then the last scene of the movie again, like, it's not that maybe I am getting emotional. I think you watched this movie.
I feel like you're really emotional.
You feel for Mother. And so, AJ's dead. The only ones left at this point are Tess and Mother. Mm-hmm.
She has to make a choice.
Yeah. And so Mother's saying to Tess, like, she wants her to come home. She wants to bring Tess home to the Barbarian house of horrors, basically, right?
Good God. The mattress.
and Tess said that she can't do that. Right. Mm-hmm. And Mother basically knows it. And Tess is the one that has the gun. And she just like kisses her like on the forehead and accepts the fact that she's going to die. Yeah. And Tess shoots Mother in the head.
My God.
Yeah. And then Tess goes on her way. And we see her walking. And that's Barbarian.
The way you describe that ending, it's so tragic. And
it is tragic.
It's sad.
I'm not going to lie. When I watched it for the second time, I kind of was tearing up. Like, I'm on Mother's side, I mean, she just wanted her baby. And you know what else? She made the ultimate sacrifice for her baby. You know what I mean?
Baby in quotation marks. Yeah, she did. Yeah. She did. Oh, Al, that was beautiful the way you described the ending. And it's so true. The villain becomes a hero. It's very complicated.
It is.
Like,
yeah,
again,
it is
like
complicated.
An onion. You're like, what
and
the
it's
hell
disturbing.
Is
it's grotesque, but like, I don't know. Watch it. Let us know.
Yeah,
I gotta say, there's a lot of parallels between Monster Elizasu from Substance and Mother in Barbarian.
100%. I feel like I got you into that, like feeling like the empathy for the grotesque character. Okay, so for some behind the scenes kind of nuggets, some kind of info. This was actually filmed. It was filmed in Brightmoor, Detroit.
Okay,
Detroit, whatever. You guys let us know, whatever it is.
I can't not say Detroit. So like,
I know,
that's where
like same. It's in great. And also Bulgaria. It's filmed in Bulgaria, like sound stages.
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah, so there were sound stages for the underground tunnels, like. Yeah. And I have a question for you.
Okay.
I am extremely claustrophobic. I could never film in those tunnels. Like, could you ever do that?
No, absolutely
in those like underground tunnels? Like insane.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. No.
Yeah. Like I was watching like the actors do it, like the scenes, and I'm like, I don't even know how they did this. Like that is absolutely insane to me. And so the director and screenwriter, he drew inspiration from a book. It was called The Gift of Fear. And I just wanted to talk about this. It's really, really interesting because it's about fear as a signal, like a survival signal that protects us. Like if you had that intuition, that fear, it can like help protect you from dangerous situations. Yeah. And apparently that's supposed to be about Tess, but I think that she did have it at the beginning, but she went against her better judgment. But at the end, she kind of like learned how to notice it and follow it. Right. Even though, and it wasn't until the very end when she like only really connected with Mother, right? Because even like
literally the very end is the only time she did it, because every other time she didn't. Yes. Yeah.
Like AJ, like she trusted him, like she went back for him. Like all the decisions that she made were against her better judgment, I suppose. But at the very end, like connecting with the Mother, she was able to do that. But it's really, really interesting. I kind of want to go read that book. And let's talk about the Mother. Okay. Did you know it was played by a man? Did you know this?
I did know that.
Okay.
Very Pet Cemetery. Take a drink.
Yeah. Very
Zelda. Giving Zelda Pet Cemetery vibes.
It's giving Zelda. Take a drink. Yeah. Matthew Patrick Davis, like 3 just regular names, one after the other. Matthew Patrick Davis. 3 first names. So apparently he like shaved his whole body. He wore prosthetics. He asked them not to shave his eyebrows because he's like, well, we're going to put like stuff over it. So can I not shave my eyebrows so I can still act in other things? But Matthew Patrick Davis, you can like go Google it and kind of see his transformation. It's very, very interesting.
He did. I got to say, he did a good job.
And I have to say, I'm less disturbed knowing they were prosthetic breasts and not
Did you
real.
think it was real? My God.
I felt uncomfortable. We all felt uncomfortable. We
all felt uncomfortable. Did you think there was like a casting call for like that type of body figure?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I was intrigued to know it was a man. And I think that was the only way to go, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. And so it's so interesting to read the reviews with the director, like where he talks about writing the movie. And and you talked about this in the synopsis. I think it's kind of a perfect movie, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Yeah. And apparently like he originally only wrote Act 1 and he was like mulling over what's going to happen at the end of it. Yeah. Right. When Tess went looking for Keith, and then he settled on like, okay, she has to go like see what he's up to. She's following her intuition. She has to see, like, this is going to happen. And then he settled on like a naked woman coming and bashing his head in. And that was it. And he's like, okay, I'm off to the races. And then Act 2 was going to be about, kind of the antithesis, I guess, of like the Act 1. Act 1 was very like intuitive woman, like following her gut instinct or whatever. And Act 2 was like the opposite, Justin Long,
asshole guy.
Yeah. Completely unaware man who has no idea what he's doing in the world. And then Act 3 is like the moral compass. Right. It's like who's going to prevail, who's going to kind of rectify their ways, or who's going to win at the end. And maybe there's a debate on this, but I think that AJ definitely failed. Right. There was a chance for redemption. He definitely showed that he was a bad guy. And Tess was the good one. So,
but in the end, Tess wouldn't have survived had Mother not come in and saved the day, Ash. So
you're right. She wouldn't have. Yeah. But if Mother wasn't there, none of this would happen to begin with.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. It is time for Screamometer, where we give our ratings of the movie. I'm so excited for this one. Allie, what is your scream meter? What is your rating of Barbarian?
Very excited for this one. I don't know. You might be surprised. My scream meter for Barbarian, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10 for Barbarian. I think it holds up. So on rewatch, the first time I saw it, I absolutely loved it. But also on rewatch, it held up for me. There were just moments in it that really get you thinking. There were some scary moments in it. It's definitely something I will probably rewatch like again and again and again. For me, an 8 out of 10 still holds up. Still some crazy scary moments. Loved Barbarian.
So I need to tell people that we do not discuss this before we prepare the episode. We watch the movies separately. We have our screamometers separately. And often we diverge and sometimes we align. Lately, apparently we've been aligning. Okay. I agree. I think this was
also an 8.
I need to say that I think this was delight. I think it was legitimately scary. It was funny. It was like everything you want horror to be.
Yes.
The suspense of it at the beginning.
Act 1 alone.
Yeah. The bait and switch, the slow burn right to the reveal of the father and everything. I also gave it an 8. I wrote that down in bold. I think this movie is so good. I think that if you are new to horror, you want to watch something that's kind of campy related to 80s horror that you love, watch Barbarian. I think it is so good. And I gave it an 8 as well. I 100% agree.
I mean, cheers to that. Cheers to that, Ash, because as you said, we don't usually agree. We have been agreeing lately. Barbarian's a gem.
Okay, it is time for Sip and Tell, where we discuss our personal experiences related to the content of a Barbarian. Okay. I'm going first on this one because I actually have one.
I can't wait.
Okay. All right. Okay. I stayed a few years ago at a very sketchy Airbnb. Okay. It was like 2014 in New York, in Harlem, New York, actually. I was there for a conference and I remember booking it and it said on the description, only 2 subway stops away from Times Square. It was, but those are express stops. So express stops in New York, you could be 10 stops, right? It was 35 minutes away. So sure, it was 2 stops away, express. Okay. Anyway, the whole thing was basically a disaster. As soon as I landed, I got scammed into some really weird airport ride to the place, a cab ride, and it was really expensive. There was no elevator. I was up 3 or 4 flights up the stairs. I had to carry my bag up. The guy that owned the place was very, very strange. He was just giving me all these recommendations. He had a map out and was showing me all these places to go. He insisted I take the bus back to the airport, which is really strange. I'm well, I don't know. I feel I'm just going to maybe get an Uber.
An Uber.
Get an Uber or a cab or something. And the bathroom to this place was horrendous. It was shared, by the way. It was just horrendous. It had soap in it that was watered down. It was just
you were just
really,
renting a room in an Airbnb.
I was renting a room in an Airbnb. It was really, really, really sketchy. I remember someone outside. I remember looking outside my window, and some guy was "I'm not going back to jail." It was just really sketchy, kind of like the Detroit place. I'm not gonna lie, it was really, really strange. I don't know, it was a mess. And anyway, I was also the other point I wanted to make. I was basically just in law. I went out. I had this conference in Times Square. Very, touristy or whatever. And then I was yelping bars, along Central Park. And I went back and I got some really weird malt liquor or something. And anyway, I felt I was sick in the middle of the night, Justin Long, basically hugging the toilet at this Airbnb in the middle of the night.
Wait, where'd you get the malt liquor? Explain that.
I don't know. Where? Some convenience store. I don't know. So I'm Canadian. So in Canada.
Sorry, you bought malt liquor at the convenience store and you took it back with you?
I need to explain this to you. So I was going to these bars along and then I went to the convenience store. I'm oh, yeah, a beer or something for the end of the night. And I got this, I think it was a vodka drink. In Canada, it would have been vodka, but in
it was a Smirnoff Ice or something.
Yeah, it was Smirnoff Ice. This was a while ago. It's 11 years ago.
Yeah, malt liquor.
Malt liquor. Yeah. And so I got this thing, and I'm I'll drink it back at the Airbnb. And I had it, and it did not sit well with me. And I was basically Justin Long, hugging the toilet, throwing up in the middle of the night, and had to catch a plane the next day. Just great. Not my best night, not my worst night. You know what I mean?
It's just middle of the road for you. Yeah.
Middle of the road. But yeah.
Doesn't sound fun, Ash. That does not sound fun. And that sounds pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, it was not great. Not a great Airbnb. And he, you know what though? The silver line, he's gave me a really good review on Airbnb.
You know what? It helped your rating on Airbnb. So there you go. He gave
me a really nice review. I can't say I said the same about him, but sorry about that. But like the place kind of sucks, not gonna lie. And okay, you said you have no sip and towel, but didn't you stay in a double booked Airbnb? I'm pretty sure you did.
I did.
I was setting this up for you.
Wait, I actually did. I did. And some of our listeners are going to remember this. Actually, I didn't. Thank you, Ash.
You're very welcome.
So my girlfriends and I, we would do a girls trip every year. And one year we chose to do the girls trip in Denver. And so we all met there and we got this really cool Airbnb. I think it was like VRBO or something, but same thing. It's this really cool like apartment. And we were staying there for a couple of nights.
I love this.
And so we go in and we're staying there. We have a great first night. It's like the second night. We had been out all day. We were home. We were like watching a movie or something. And it was like me and like 3 of my friends. We're sitting there like in the living room of our Airbnb that we rented at night, watching a movie. And like, I don't know why we didn't lock the door. Like we should have deadbolted the door, but we didn't. And so we're sitting there and all of a sudden that door just like opens and this like couple come in. Like they think they're coming into their Airbnb, right? They come in
clean.
And then like my friend who's like, I just love her. She just like screams and like like I've never seen someone scream so loud, like screams and like jumps out of the couch. And like all of us we're all terrified because and then
she would be the final girl in this. Yeah, she would be the one to save everybody.
She had the intuition. She did.
Yes.
She screamed. She's like, what the hell is happening? And not only are we screaming and shocked by this, but that couple at the door had no idea what's going on. And they're like, what? Like, imagine going in, there's like a group of girls just like hanging out in the living room. And so we're all confused, but like, yes, I can't believe I remember this because the same thing. So we go up and we're all just like calling our respective like Airbnb things. But you know what we didn't do, Ash? We did not offer them to come in and hang out. They just went and had to get another Airbnb because like we weren't going to invite strangers in. It was like four women. We were not going to do that. So they went off on their way, I guess, to find something else. And we stayed there another couple nights. Yeah. I completely forgot about that.
Squatters' rights.
Yeah, we were there. All our stuff was there. We were like cuddled in watching a movie. You weren't going to
like wash your sheets. So this couple
absolutely not. I wasn't going to share the free bottle of wine with them. I can't believe you remember that, and I forgot about that. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, that is such a good one.
Shared history.
Yeah, so good. And it's disturbing when that happens to you. So you know what? I kind of feel for Keith a little bit. I was on his end,
Poor Keith.
Yeah, poor Keith.
Well, poor Keith did not have the best ending. So
no,
fair enough. Fair enough. All right, now it is time for Sips and Scares, where we discuss the scariest parts of Barbarian. Yeah. All right, there are some we've already talked about, but what are your top? What are your top moments?
Okay. Like we've already talked about it, but we're revisiting it because a top moment for me in this entire movie, and it definitely is nostalgic. But when Tess returns after her interview to the house and she's going in and there's the unhoused man is chasing her and trying to warn her not to go in. She's fiddling with the keys. Like she has to use the lockbox to get in, fiddling with the keys. I mean, clearly very like Halloween-esque.
Yes.
But that scene, just the anxiety building of that scene, definitely the scariest moment for me in the movie.
I also have that as like in bold. It's like a very, very scary moment. Very, very Halloween, very Get Out. It's like kind of similar where they're running after. He's like, hey, little girl, get out that house. Like, it was like scary.
He's like running fast.
He is. I agree with that 100%. That was very scary. But I loved like old school horror for me, like the haunted house and everything. When she finally got her sheets clean and she's sleeping in her bed or whatever. Right.
The sheets were clean. Yeah.
She was cool with it. And she's sleeping in the middle of the night and the door opens and it's like, Tess, right? I did.
Wait, we hear it? Did we hear it?
Yes. You hear like Tess.
No,
she says her name. Yes.
You hear it?
Yes. 100%. She says Tess.
You're saying mother said her name?
It was either mother or one of her descendants. Yes. Said Tess. And you hear Tess. Go back and rewatch it.
I did not.
I challenge you to go back and hear it.
Okay.
Go back and rewatch it tonight. She says Tess. And it's a whole thing, and it's very scary. I thought that was really, really good. Oh. I also thought just the street Barbarian, apparently, in the daylight, goddamn, like that's scary. And it's because you're like alarmed because like you wake up. It's not like a false sense of security because like clearly it was sketchy, but like it was kind of cozy in the house. And you wake up in the morning and go out and you're like, oh my God, things are not as they seem, and everything was.
I know. Right. So I love that.
And it was in the daylight, so it's just very, very strange, very, very weird. I thought when she locks herself in the basement, even though like total horror,
the anxiety belt,
yes, the anxiety of it, which she has no keys, or she has the key, I guess, but no phone. Which was, stupid or whatever, but yeah. And then when Keith crawls out of the catacombs, he's like, someone else is down here. Like that whole like reveal was absolutely terrifying. I thought that was so good.
But when you watch it for the first time, you still at that point don't realize, because that whole first act for me, I thought he was luring her down there. And so I did. So when you watch
everyone thought that.
But you watch it, you think that like he's just trying to get her to go further in there.
You're like, come on, help, come on down. Yeah.
And so that was great. I agree.
I love the casting in this too, because, so Bill Skarsgård, he's like the new Pennywise, whatever. He's like super creepy, right? So you expect him to be the creep, and it was absolutely perfect casting by the director.
And that had to have been on purpose, right? Ash?
It was on purpose. Yeah. So they thought, okay, when you meet someone like you're going to expect to be like a bad guy, which is Bill Skarsgård, and like that was amazing, and he turns out to be the innocent one. And then Justin Long, wouldn't hurt a fly, wouldn't hurt a fly, and he's like a date rapist, right?
Yeah.
And they did that on purpose. Apparently,
that was smart casting.
He was the only one that they approached, and he said yes.
Justin Long did?
Yeah.
He was like on board. He wanted to play the villain, I guess.
I guess so. All right, we're moving on to cliches and ripoffs. Okay, so what did Barbarian rip off? What ripped off it? What are the cliches? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've already discussed this one. Like one of the big ones was Halloween when Tess was trying to get into the house.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. And like, it wasn't Michael Myers chasing her slowly. It was the other man, right? Like kind of fast, like chasing her.
It was like, get out.
She's struggling. It was. And she's struggling with the keys and she's trying to get in. That was, definitely, I think on purpose, right? Definitely an homage to Halloween. Yeah. Another more recent one, this Barbarian was out in 2022. There was a recent movie just last year with the Hugh Grant, Heretic. And I have to say when I watched Heretic, I was definitely thinking of Barbarian with like the cages and the women. Again, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Heretic, like
we have to do Heretic.
But I think there were a lot of similarities with some of those like later scenes in Heretic and this one as well.
Yeah, 100%. I have so many. I'm like, I can't wait for this to talk about the cliches ripoffs. Okay. The water tower. Okay. I think the water tower is akin to walking up the stairs in a house, right? Where like, don't walk. Why in the world would they walk up the water tower? When they could have just ran out into the woods or like ran out into the terrain.
Scream. It's like a stereotype. It's
Halloween. Okay. It's a cliche. Yeah. That was 100% cliche.
Definitely cliche.
You're in this like abandoned lot in the dark and you walk up a lit water tower.
She can walk. It's not like Mother couldn't walk. And she, what? She's pretty goddamn fast too.
She is fast. Why are you going up the water tower? Why do they always go up the stairs? So like, what's your exit strategy?
Ash, it's so good. I think it's to throw someone else off of it.
But like a squirrel. So, that's definitely a cliche for me, like the equivalent of every horror movie going up the stairs. Okay. Mm-hmm. The Descent. And I think The Descent is one of the scariest modern horror movies. It's so good.
Agreed.
And I don't want to spoil it, but it's about like these cave dweller monster people that are kind of similar to Mother, right?
Well,
they've like evolved over time. Well, we need to do The Descent then.
Yeah. That's debatable. But
there are caves. There are like catacombs. There's caves. It's like very claustrophobic. And
I'll say that
weird monster people dwelling in them. So it is.
Well, there are people that go into these caves and there are things that happen and you can perceive it in different ways. But yes.
Okay. So we are going to do The Descent in a future episode, but it does remind me of it. Okay. My favorite horror movie besides The Shining, like recent.
I was going to say The Shining. Okay, wait.
No, not The Shining.
The Woman in Black is your favorite horror movie?
No. My favorite recent horror movie is Parasite.
Oh,
this is very Parasite with the basement dwellers.
Oh, yes.
Right? I love Parasite.
100%.
And we have to do Parasite. I love Parasite. I think it's like actually a a perfect horror movie.
Axe and the axe as well. It's very similar actually.
Absolutely. Very, very similar to Parasite. So I feel like they were definitely drawing on that. I think every Lifetime movie where the dad locks the daughter in the basement. Like, okay, I've seen a bunch of those.
Yeah. What about, and the mattress in the video camera? Okay. That beginning of Act 3 with Frank. Yeah. That's a Lifetime movie right there.
Like I've seen that Lifetime movie.
And like, BTK killer. So also it gets me thinking. So the BTK killer, the bind, torture, kill guy, like that's how he would get his people, right? He would like pose as like a person and then like unlock the window. So that was very, very similar to that.
I think it was like a girl in the basement. So it's like a Lifetime movie actually. And like, that's exactly it. Okay. And I have another one and you haven't, okay. I know you have never watched Game of Thrones, but a lot of our listeners have. And you were, and I was so like excited for you to like, we're like, oh, like the eye kill. It was like so original when they like put the thumbs in. Al, this is how Pedro Pascal died in Game of Thrones. It was absolutely like iconic when this like, and I know you never watched it. It was like this giant mountain man who basically killed Pedro Pascal's king character with like his thumbs and his eyeballs. So just, FYI.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know Pedro Pascal was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's how he became like super famous.
I'm going to challenge you there, Ash, because I'm pretty sure either Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees killed someone that way.
Not the same, not as grotesquely.
Well, you know what, listeners, let me know let us know, please, because I'm pretty sure.
Pedro Pascal.
But I'm pretty sure Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees pushed their thumbs into someone's eye sockets and killed them that way.
And I think it was more grotesque and more compelling in Game of Thrones.
I'm just saying that maybe Game of Thrones was inspired by Michael Myers.
Maybe this is whole lineage of the putting the thumbs in the eyeballs that we haven't even acknowledged. And I have one more. And this one's really good. Black Mirror. So at the end, when they like finish, they have the credits and then they show a couple of the other scenes where Tess is kind of like walking away.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And that's a very Black Mirror. And guess what? Tess, Georgina Campbell.
She was in Black Mirror.
And she was in the episode called Hang the DJ, which is actually one of my favorite episodes. I think it's from like season 4. It's the one where they have like the dating app and they're mashed to people for like a certain amount of time. Yes. So good. It's the same. It was the same season as the one where the two girls are in like the simulated environment.
Yeah,
San Junipero.
San Junipero. Yeah,
and it was that same season. It was so good. Hang the DJs, like they might be one of the best ones. She's in that. So I don't know if this was like an homage to that. I have no idea, but it really reminded me of Black Mirror the way they did the credits. So.
Oh, absolutely. I think it definitely was, Ash. Because when I watched it, I didn't think of that, but I was like, it definitely like it reminded me of something. So yeah.
All right, it is time for the villain. Okay, who is the villain of Barbarian? I cannot wait. Al.
Well, I'm going to tell you who it wasn't. It was not Mother.
No,
it was not Mother.
It wasn't.
Mother sure as hell was not the villain. If anything, like, you know what? She's my monster, Eliza Sue. I feel for her.
Go listen to the substance episode.
Yeah. Please listen to episode 13. Yeah. Ash has created an empath in me with some of these perceived villains. Mm-hmm. It was not Mother. I mean, AJ was the villain in this. I mean, you could say Frank. I think AJ, 100% villain of this movie. Did not care about anyone else. It really caused, I'd say, it did cause, harm to Tess in it. Deserved harm to himself. AJ, definitely the villain in this movie.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Definitely AJ. And he was the one that kind of had his comeuppance. And I'm glad he got his.
He did have his comeuppance. Yeah.
He had his eyes pushed in.
The Pedro Pascal thing.
Yeah. I have another maybe controversial villain.
Okay.
So I think maybe like upstream, like who was the actual
Let's
villain?
think about this.
Who could have prevented all of this besides Frank? We all know Frank like abused the people.
Well, yeah, obviously Frank was like the villain.
Like Frank. The Airbnb management people. Like, did they not do like a deep sweep of like the house? Like like come on, you're supposed to like sign off on this and be like, it's safe. No, they did not. No. They were the ones renting this out. They let the two of them go in there together. The Airbnb people.
Absolutely. And they caused it all from the beginning.
Airbnb is the villain.
Yeah. I love it and 100% agree. And I'm changing my mind. Airbnb, 100% the villain here. Because Keith would have never gone down in the basement had Tess not gone down there and figured out that there was that secret door. Absolutely.
Yeah, and AJ even called him. He's like, "What the hell is going on?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know." Like they just were not
definitely
paying
Airbnb.
attention.
You know,
I'm sorry,
it wasn't
Detroit
a great advertisement
Airbnb, like not great. Okay, it is time for Sips and Simmering Questions, where we answer questions from our listeners on various social media platforms. And tonight, well, we have a couple. We have one from Instagram. And Allie, I'm going to let you read this one because we need to discuss. No, you're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you for letting me read this question.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Okay, so this question comes from Timmy Rupert, and it is a would you rather question. I did not write this. I'm reading it from Instagram, and I'm going to PG it a little bit.
Fair enough.
Okay, it is would you rather?
Would you rather? God.
The bottle with a hair on the end or straight from the source, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah. I think you know what I mean there. Ash, I'm going to go ahead and let you answer that one first. Bottle with a hair on it, straight from the source. Okay. What would you rather suckle from?
Okay, I feel like because I know how they made the mother, it was like prosthetics. You know what I mean? I feel like the bottle with the hair is like too like organic or something. Like it just grosses me out. Like it coming towards them.
You'd rather from a source.
It's not just the source. I know that it's like some prosthetic thing, and I feel like I would be more comfortable with that. The weird bottle like coming towards them it was the hair on it that really bothered me.
100%.
It was the hair.
We all know it was the hair.
Nobody wants like the hair and the slap.
But do you think that there was not hair on the like the source as well?
I didn't see any in like, well, maybe I didn't see any in like the prosthetics. What about you, Al? Why don't you take that?
You know, what do you think? Yeah, I've thought about it.
Oh, you thought about it. She's lied awake at night thinking about this.
The question was posed. You know what? I think I'm going to go with the bottle with the hair. I think I can wipe that hair away. I can deal with it for 2 seconds. It's a plastic. It's a familiar, like a plastic thing. Like, I'm going to go with the bottle. Hair be damned. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Not the most comfortable question to answer, but thanks to me, Rupert.
Yeah, thanks for that weird one. That's great. Okay, so I have a question. This is from me. This is not from one of our listeners, but I have a question because I have many like just thoughts after I watched this movie. And this is one of the most lingering. Where did all of the other babies, the offspring, go? Like, did she outlive them all? Like, what happened? Where did they go? She's the only one left. So you're talking like decades of like having babies with babies and babies. So where did they go? Where did they go? Al, I want to know what you think these little children, adults, older, middle-aged people went.
Okay. I don't think there were a ton of babies, Ash. I think he abducted several women. I think they died or were killed by him. I think once he wasn't getting what he wanted from them, right? I think they were killed.
But where were the bodies? Okay, that's fine. But where did the bodies go?
Okay, that's a good question.
There were cages down there. Like, what is happening? I think
he buried them somewhere in those tunnels, and we just don't. You know what? That'll make for a great sequel, Ash.
Yeah.
The next Airbnb owners uncover a lot of bones in the Airbnb. Yeah, it's a great question.
And why was there like a little bell? Like, we didn't mention this in synopsis, but there was this like bell thing. I think that was
so he knew when they were moving around. For sure.
He knew. Okay.
Yeah. So Frank knew, but like he was like obviously immobile at that point. But I think it's still like back in the day, he knew when they were moving around. Because like, what was it, like 40 years?
Yeah, I thought he was like ringing it to get some help from like.
No, I think it was set up. It was like a booby trap almost, so that like he knew when they were moving around or when someone was coming close. Yes.
Okay. So we don't know where the bodies went. I think that's a good
question though, Ash. It's a good question. We don't know. I think they're buried somewhere.
Listeners, where do the bodies go?
The bodies go.
Well,
it's a good question.
He's like molesting like all these captives and then he's molesting the other or raping the other
and she and mother was definitely like a a baby of a baby, right?
Yeah,
Like that was
she was
multiple
supposed to be.
incest, and it's been about 50 years. So like,
Yeah.
you know what, Ash, you're right. You're right. How did that come to be? The age thing doesn't necessarily match up. Yeah, it would have to have been like multiple rounds. Yeah,
I have a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next point. It is time for sips and sequels. Okay,
Yes.
so we already know the director has like kind of outlawed a prequel. A prequel would be amazing, right? Frank like kept the whole, but he said that he doesn't want.
Ash, we've seen it before in a Lifetime movie, you know?
Yeah, for sure. He doesn't want to do a whole like movie on that. But what about the sequel? And I have some ideas. I mean, where are the bodies? Where are they buried?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. For anyone who's seen, this was my idea with a sequel. So anyone who's seen The Invitation,
yes,
I'm sure some of our listeners, I know you've seen it. I'm sure some of our listeners have.
So,
I know, we'll do The Invitation. I feel like potentially Frank was involved in some sort of like incest pedophile ring. And there's a bunch of these Airbnbs. And we find out that there's a few of them. And it's almost like an anthology and it goes to like the next one. I feel like that would be a cool sequel.
Let's write that. That sounds great. So that's so interesting.
Challenge accepted.
My sequel was like based on the Airbnb. I'm like, I want to know about the Airbnb people. Like,
okay, I love that, Ash. I love that idea.
But this is my thing. So I want it to go out into the ether. Like they're like, oh my God, this like crazy thing in Detroit. And then like people come to rent it because they're like, oh, it's haunted. Or like, right, you're going to get publicity because this like crazy house is haunted or like there's these crazy things happening. And I want to know what other properties this company manages. I want the sequel of the Airbnb property management administrative company. That's what I want. So I'm kind of with you.
And I think it can, So I think my idea and your idea could be like become one. Exactly.
I think
maybe they specialize in places that have hidden tunnels that may or may not have captives in there.
Or maybe they're like trying to like reinvigorate some places that have been downtrodden over the years. And they're like, we're going to make this area happen. So we have to create some excitement. Britmore, we're going to make this happen. Well, that's going to do it for Sips and Screams episode 14, Barbarian. Thank you so much for joining us and listening today. Join us next time as we sip on more themed cocktails and discuss the good, the bad, and the truly terrifying of our favorite horror movies. Cheers.
Cheers.